joined LGE and KU as a lead analyst in 2016 and has served as a managing director and now VP of R&D since 2018. A warm welcome for Aron.
Thanks for having me, guys. We've already had like a really good 45-minute conversation. I guess you want me behind the mic?
Well, no, but you can wander around. You come-
I will wander.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
Please go ahead.
I hope, how is the audio in the room? Does it work everywhere?
Yeah, the audio is pretty good.
Okay, great. Then I will
You
continue
got
to walk around.
online audience of about 25 people so far.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for joining. I do not have a script. I do not have any one topic that I want to talk about or need to talk about. But I'm just honored to be here today. I happen to be coming downtown tomorrow and just extended my trip by one day to come hang out with you guys. Today is a PPL holiday, so I am on vacation today. This is my day off. So I'm here on a vacation holiday just to spend with you guys because I want to. So MLK Day, surprised Lehigh University is open. Probably shouldn't be, but honored to get to spend this beautiful snowy day with you guys. Yeah, so as Rudy said, my name is Aron. I've been in public sector for 9-10 years. I've been in private sector for about 10 years. And I'm an energy nerd for sure. I just love energy stuff. I love my job. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I work for the best company. I'm the best boss. And I just love what I do every single day. Love my team. And so I'm excited to talk to you all about it. Is there a technical problem? Okay, well, we don't have to use slides. That's usually the case, right? Can you guys imagine like if Abraham Lincoln was going to give his Gettysburg Address and then somebody walked in like, hang on, they can't see the slides, like hang on, we're gonna get it running. Yeah, so we're in a really cool time, and I'll talk a little bit about that today, if that's okay with you guys. It's an exciting time, and it's also a really scary time with AI. I was telling you guys a few minutes ago, because we've been talking for like 30 minutes about it. The world we're in is changing so fast. My last time at Lehigh was 3 years ago, and I feel like our whole industry has changed in that time from multiple perspectives. First, electricity demand is rising at a rate that it has really never, ever before risen at. So in yeah, I'll ignore the slides, guys, and just kind of ramble. So PPL Corporation, you guys are familiar with it, right? Everybody know PPL? Okay, so it used to stand for Pennsylvania Power and Light, and nowadays it's just PPL. That's kind of a fad in companies to do that. One example from my home state, KFC. Used to be Kentucky Fried Chicken, but now it's just KFC. I don't know why. I think fried stuff is no longer possible, no longer popular. So it's Kentucky Fried Chicken is now KFC. So PPL Corporation, we are a Fortune 500 company with about $39 billion in assets. I think $9 billion in revenue. We serve 3.5 million customers in 4 states. So the 4 states, obviously, you might want to name one. Yeah. Pennsylvania, yeah. Maybe want to name another one. Kentucky, yeah. Not Delaware.
Rhode Island.
Yeah, we got Rhode Island. Yeah, Rhode Island, and then the last one's really hard. Virginia. Yeah, so we have service territories in Virginia. So Kentucky, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. So the companies that we operate in. So here, obviously, in Allentown, we're operating under the PPL Electric Utilities. But in Kentucky, we have Kentucky Utilities, Louisville Gas and Electric, and Old Dominion Power in Virginia. And in Rhode Island, we own and operate Rhode Island Energy. And I'm going to say, of those states, my favorite is Rhode Island. And sorry, guys, it is so beautiful. How many of you have been to Rhode Island? Absolutely beautiful state. All right, so I'm gonna tell you just a little bit about our company, but our vision is bold. It is ambitious. It is awesome. Our vision is to be the best utility in the United States. Not top tier, not top 100, number one. That's our goal. I love it. And so we get up every morning, every day, and we try to become the absolute best. Our mission is to provide safe, affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy to our customers. So first in that list, obviously, is safety, affordability, reliability, and sustainability. So these things I'm really proud of. They all kind of go together, and in some ways, sometimes they don't. But safety's first and foremost. These are what we call our values. Safety, passion. I hope to bring passion. Thank you for saying I was passionate, because I hope to bring passion to the table. Innovation, that's the space that I lead at PPL. Responsibility, integrity, and teamwork. Spirit. So these are our values. Like, super proud. I love my company. Like, it is so awesome. This is what we're striving to be. So safety, no accidents, no loss of life, no harm to public health or employee health. That's really the goal. And passion, innovation. And I hope you see those in what I'm going to talk to you about today. So I lead research and development as well as our venture capital. So what are those two things? So research and development, we are obviously looking out at all new technologies and asking the question, can they help us improve safety, reliability, sustainability, or affordability? So I go coast to coast a lot. I'm going to New York City tomorrow, and then I'm headed off to Palo Alto after that. And I'm in search of the technology that will lower costs, make electricity services safer, and make them more reliable for our customers. That's our mission. So we have a network of partners, research partners. We have Lehigh University on here, but I really hope actually that you all here at Lehigh will help me really expand that. But we have 177 at last count, 177 research projects with all of these partners here. Many of our partnerships are with the Electric Power Research Institute. So I'm on the research advisory committee there, and our CEO, PPL CEO, just stepped off as chairman of the board of EPRI. We're highly engaged with EPRI and Electric Power Research Institute, as well as with my alma mater, the University of Kentucky. We also have venture capital partnerships. So what's that? How I'm talking too much. I should ask you guys questions. So how does venture capital differ from R&D? Anybody know? Yeah.
I think when we're talking about venture capitalism, you are actually funding like startup companies to produce a technology that goes along with energy transition. Whereas when you are talking about research and development, we're just looking at an idea and see how we can go about it.
You got it. Yeah, you got it exactly. Bravo. The R&D side, we might pay a university to look at a question for us, develop some results, or put together a patent. In the venture capital side, somebody has an idea. They come to us and they say, hey, I have a great idea, and we buy it. We buy the company. And if they're successful, we reap rewards from that. And obviously there's potential for loss. So we do both of those kind of separately. So R&D is part of our utilities. So it's part of those local utilities. It is things we're doing on behalf of the ratepayers. And on the venture capital side, we're making investments, and not for the utilities, but making direct investments from the corporation. And on the venture capital side, our primary means of doing that is with some venture capital partners. So we have Energy Impact Partners is one of them, or EIP. Another one, and I don't see their logo on here, but the Wesley Group. The Wesley Group is one of our really important partnerships as well. So EIP based in New York and Wesley Group based in Palo Alto. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about our goals, but a lot of our R&D is focused on enabling decarbonization. 20 years ago, when I really started in this space, decarbonization was something that maybe governments wanted. So states made decarbonization goals or states made renewable portfolio standards. We talked about them nationally. So nationally, back in 2009 timeframe, there was the American Clean Energy and Security Act, or Waxman-Markey, that was looking at a cap and trade for carbon. And many states passed these different standards. But today, this move towards decarbonization is being driven by the private sector. So it's companies that have made goals. So they're coming to us and they have those goals. So I'm going to talk about AI quite a bit here in a minute, but pretty much all of the AI leaders have very strong commitments to being net zero. So some of them are net zero today, some of them 100% renewable by 2030. I think Microsoft even has an interesting goal of by 2050. Not only do they want to be 100% clean, but they want to remove retroactively all of the CO2 that's ever been created by Microsoft. That's their current goal. So there's some really ambitious targets out there. So years ago, it was all about what was the government going to force you to do or require you to do through legislation or some sort of law. But today, it's actually private companies and private individuals that are really driving this move towards clean energy.
At PPL, we're not adapting to the future of energy. We're creating it. As pioneers, we're leading the way with R&D and innovations that are helping solve the most pressing energy challenges of our time.
These are videos of my team.
Fueled by more than $200 million in federal grants, we're powering more than 180 active R&D projects. That's how we're driving innovation and advancing technologies that can be scaled safely, reliably, and affordably to meet our customers' energy needs, including a key focus on carbon capture and sequestration technologies. Innovation is the cornerstone of our strategy for emissions reductions and has helped us drive a 95% reduction in sulfur dioxide since 1995 and nearly a 60% reduction in carbon dioxide since 2000.
You can actually find it at pplrd.com/videos. You can find the rest of them, but it's kind of a neat little video. I love it because those aren't clip art people. They're not fake people that we downloaded from the internet. Those are people I work with every day. But it's a pretty cool video, so you guys can watch it on your own time if you're interested. So artificial intelligence. I've got some slides here, and I'll kind of look at them, but this is really dramatically changing the energy landscape. It's changing how we provide services to our customers, and it's changing the type of energy that is required from us. So in Pennsylvania, we have about 8 gigawatts of customer demand. And right now today, we have 30 gigawatts of companies that want new power from us. That's incredible. So the space that we're in right now is all of the AI owners and hyperscalers are interested in expanding their compute capability. So everybody has ChatGPT in their pockets. I hope you guys aren't using ChatGPT to do all of your homework. I really hope not. But the energy behind that is massive. Huge amounts of electricity are being required by those computations. So on one hand, it's creating all this new demand for energy. And what did I already say? Do they want coal-fired electricity? No, they want clean, renewable power. So it's creating a new demand for energy, but also a new demand for zero carbon and renewable sources. That's on the one hand. But artificial intelligence is changing our business in how we provide services as well. So forget the energy aspect of it. We're able to do a lot today that we were not able to do decades ago. And I'm going to show you a few examples of that. Hope you guys aren't already falling asleep. I feel like we got less excited when I got the slides out. The conversation we had 30 minutes prior was even more fun, because this is a really neat group of people here in this room. So classical AI, So we've been using AI for 15 years. But honestly, when I look back at some of the AI that we have, it's rules-based. It's almost like an if-else type logic, or it's like if this, and this, then do this. And some of the projects I've loved most, 15, 16 years ago, did things using AI, bots that run every minute or so, say in Python or in R, and they go evaluate some circumstances, and if something's wrong, they shoot a text or shoot an email. So one of the early AI applications that I developed was in solar and solar analysis. Because what I found in our solar sites is that a section of solar could be offline, there could be some sort of technical problem, and solar panels are perfectly quiet. And people often don't know that there's some sort of problem. They're not watching it closely enough. And it's hard. It's really hard with solar because, and I'll show you some slides here in a minute, but it's hard because if the solar panels are covered in snow, guess what? They're not producing power. All of that white snow is, of course, refracting that light back up. And so they're not producing power. And sometimes clouds obviously interrupt solar. And then, of course, every night at sunset, solar power is interrupted. So knowing if there's a problem with some small part of a solar field or some section of solar panels is complex. So one of our first, let's say, classical AI applications was doing analysis, looking at the sunlight, looking at the weather conditions, and then predicting, okay, what should solar be? And then if there's a problem, identifying where that problem is, and then calling and get help. So one of my first projects, I think, for PPL was to give the solar farm the ability to send texts and send emails and get help so that it can be serviced. Obviously, we're moving into generative AI. This space has exploded since the last time I was here. So I was here on campus, I think in 2023, February, so 3 years ago. And I don't even think we really imagined what all was possible in the generative AI space even 3 years ago. Really quick moving. So generative AI obviously can create content. And this is rapidly revolutionizing how we do work. So professors, I know there's at least a professor in here, but professors will send me emails. And those emails, because they're professors, it's going to be like a 3-page email with an attachment and a 40-page document. I get probably 30 or 40 of those a day. Guess what? I use generative AI to summarize, like, okay, my friend Rudy just sent me 40 pages of content. Tell me in one sentence, what does he need? And it's so funny to watch these proposals come into me, with hundreds of pages of all this material, and Copilot will say, the professor needs $40,000 to study solar. Okay, got it. I understand what all of this content is. And so it's enabling me to do a lot more. The quality of our work is obviously going up with generative AI. What's the difference in generative AI though and agentic? Everybody know? Do you guys know? I bet one of you does.
Is it more personalized? I guess in the name, like kind of an agent, right? Acting on behalf of the company and the stakeholders. Kind of like that.
Yeah, that's a great answer. My friend.
I would say for agentic, it creates images or charts based on previous patterns, like based on previous history or something.
I think generative AI can do that. So generative AI, obviously looking back at content and recreating new content. So for example, generative AI, look at 1,000 pictures of trees, and then you say, hey, draw a picture of a tree, and it can draw a picture of a tree. Or it can write content, or obviously you guys probably use ChatGPT all the time. So that's the generative space. Agentic, you're really taking the human out. So in generative AI, it's you, the human. You're saying, hey, I need you to read this email. Hey, I need you to write an email back to that professor that sent me the 400-page thing. But the human is there telling it what it needs. Agentic is sitting and watching for those conditions to occur. And saying like, hey, I just noticed you got this long email. I bet he doesn't want to read it. I'm gonna go ahead and summarize it for him and I'm gonna send that back to him. Or agentic AI watching and going and performing tasks based on its capabilities. It's a whole new level of AI, very similar to generative, except that it has a job to do. Agentic AI can be thought of as an employee, a virtual employee, a virtual assistant that isn't just answering your questions the way we think of ChatGPT or Google today. It's sitting, watching the conditions, responding to it, and going out and making something happen. Pretty cool. Physical AI, also a whole new level. Really, really exciting space. I'm going to show you guys some cool projects here in a second. So you guys have these slides, so it's pplrd.com/slides. So if you just want the actual deck, pplrd.com/slides, you can download the deck. I mentioned a second ago all of our increases in electricity demand. Crazy how much power people are looking to purchase. So it's a really good time to be in the utility space. And like I said, what's exciting me most about AI and the AI race is that they're looking for clean energy. They're not looking for just any energy. They want the cleanest and best. You guys can download these slides again, so I won't go through them into details. This is one project. There's no words here, so I'll just talk through it. But this is one project we've been working on this past summer. This is one of our hydroelectric dams. And what you're seeing here is a complete 3D model that we shot in one day. They can go above ground, so right here we're measuring distances. So in the past, if I just sent someone in to measure something, now it can all be done remotely. You have cataloging, tagging of generating units, or data on the specific generated units are being captured. So this is all really quick, but that's a hydroelectric plant. This is my carbon capture system. This is one of 3 operational carbon capture systems. We built this with the University of Kentucky. We started this program in 2005. This particular system was built in pretty neat. So it's capturing carbon dioxide. What's cool is that this model actually allows you to move through the system and see all the different assets and gather information. This is, speaking of venture side, this is a startup called Cinto, Cintoo, that we partnered with on that particular one. But super neat project. It was super quick. Yeah. Here's another one. No music on this one, so it'll be easier to talk through. So this is a different company and looking at a different problem with physical 3D AI. But this is all done by drone. So imagine back in the day, go back in time, imagine the power goes out at your house. So back in the day, 30, 40 years ago, or 10 years ago, if the power went out at your house, what would you do? You call the utility and be like, yo, hey, PPL, my power's out. And they'd be like, oh, really? Their power's out. So then they call somebody, say Joe. They call Joe and say, hey, Joe, looks like Eunice's power is out. So we're going to send somebody, we need to send somebody to her house. So when does the power usually go out? The power goes out. So on a nice, clear, sunny afternoon. Nope. When does the power go out? That's nasty, stormy, icy, snowy. These are hurricanes. These are the kinds of conditions that power go out. So you actually had to send Joe, and Joe would have to walk this power line to try to figure out, okay, where's the power out at? Now this can actually be done by drone, and this can be done by automated drone. This space has changed so rapidly. Let me tell you about just a few of the technologies that PPL is deploying in this space. So first is smart meter. So my power went out a couple weeks ago, and being the good utility employee, all of my neighbors are texting me like, hey, fix the power. So I did. I went and I shot a text to a bot and said, hey, my power's out. But before I even got that out, it already knew that information. How? Because my meter and the meters on every one of my neighbors' houses are all smart, advanced meters. And let that thing go again, because it's kind of cool. So the meters themselves, they call and tell us in seconds that the power's out. You've ever been asleep and your power went out, you woke up and your power was out? Nowadays, it's actually happening where your power goes out, you wake up and your power's on, and you never knew your power was out, and you just see like something, your clock blinking or something that it needs to be changed. That's because now your meter is going to call SOS for you. Other really cool technology, so in addition to drones now being able to identify where the problem is, here in Allentown, PPL has been deploying what's called early fault detection. So early fault detection with another startup called INDT, it's a company that we got excited about several years ago. We have sensors on lines that can detect when a tree branch is bumping up against that line, or when that line is running too high. And it can actually, before your power goes out, that sensor on the line can call and say, hey, I think there's conditions that are leading to something that could cause power failure. This is all within the past few years. We've gone from you needing to call, a guy needing to walk a line, to now it calls for you and you can keep sleeping. A drone can fly over and find the problem. And best case scenario, we've installed smart sensors that are able to identify the problem even before your power went out. We're also able now to reroute power to you. Let's say there's two ways that power can come, like two separate power lines that come to your neighborhood, and this one goes out. Well, instead of just letting your neighborhood go out, we might be able to reroute. And this all happens in the blink of an eye. Humans can't even respond or think about it fast enough before these computer models identifying the problem, fixing it. So again, the AI space is so exciting. On the one hand, it's increasing electricity demand. And again, personally, what I love is increasing demand for clean energy, renewable energy, but it's also enabling us to provide a much better quality of service to customers. What do you guys think on the AI stuff? Love it? Hate it? Love it. So I play Shark Tank a lot. Anybody know the show Shark Tank? So I'm going to play Shark Tank this week. I'm going to play Shark Tank next week. I love my job. These companies come in with these startup ideas. Here's one that I met. It's a company called Squint. Really, really like it. What Squint does is you basically hold up an iPad and you video a worker doing something. And it then records exactly what the human did. It says the worker raised his right arm. He moved his right arm to 90 degrees. He turned to this dial 3 spots over, and it recognizes what the equipment is, and then it creates instruction manuals. So now a new worker has to do the same thing. They can pull up the iPad, and the iPad's like, okay, you're gonna walk over here, and then you're gonna do this, and then you need to move this, and it tells you exactly how to do the work. It enables someone with less skill to do the same job. One of the things that I had them add to Squint was the smartwatch. And what the smartwatch is doing, again, our top priority is what? As a company, what's our top priority? Safety. So what the smartwatch is doing is it's looking at the employee's location, their proximity to something dangerous, something electric or some piece of moving equipment that could harm them. And it's checking vitals. It's checking that everything is okay and how long it should take them to do a job. So that's what we're standing up with Squint. And it can actually, again, just like I told you, the solar panels can call 911 for themselves now. Your smart meter can call 911 for yourselves. We're testing pilots where we're able to identify that an employee may be in a dangerous condition and or may have already had some sort of medical incident using this. So that's a Squint project. I know I'm only talking about these like every 2 seconds, but what do you guys think of AI customer service? When you call in to talk to a company and a robot answers the phone, how do we feel about that?
Yeah.
But it depends on the company.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, if it's like a pharmacy, for example, I'd rather talk to a human.
yeah. I tell you that the tech is, you know, airlines, I wanna call and make a change or something, or, you know, I need to cancel my flight. I mean, it can be, anybody got mad at those bots before? No? Cause you call and it's like, how can I help you? And you're like, I need to cancel my flight. And it's like, I'm sorry, so you want, it doesn't understand what you're saying, like, really complicated. And it's also trying to put you down these little trees, these pathways, like you can only do, you know, the earliest ones, if you remember, it's like, I remember our university registrar was all by phone. And I remember in the 90s, and it would be like, to add a class, press 1, to withdraw from a class, press 2. And I remember there was an option that was like, to withdraw from the university, press 3. I'm like, oh, whoa. But you know, you had to go down these paths. And now, even with the voice responsiveness of it, like it's still trying to get you in one of those paths, right? Now the tech is so off the hook. It is super exciting. We're partnering with a company called Quant, and the level of quality of customer service is remarkable. So what were we just saying a minute ago? Like when does your power go out? Think about it. When does your power go out? During a storm. Are you the only one calling at that time? Yeah, everybody within 100 miles is calling. What's really exciting is, let's say we had 100 people ready to answer your call. They have no chance of being able to answer 3.5 million calls simultaneously. This scales. We can take all 3.5 million calls simultaneously and talk to you in a way we've never been able to talk before. Our customer service centers, I've been in our offices before and looked down at our customer service centers, you know, on the first floor, and people walking in off the street. And I also noticed a really common occurrence. The person behind the desk couldn't speak to the person walking in. They spoke a different language. They were from a different country. There was some sort of language barrier. So exciting about the new customer service chatbot. You can change languages in the middle of a sentence. You could use a Chinese word and a French word and whatever, and it understands and it responds to you in your language. We were messing with it. So it's not deployed yet for customers to see it, but we've been messing with it for a while. And one of my teammates tried to speak in pirate to it. And it was like, "Arr, matey, my power's out." That's a bad impression, but hilariously, the bot was like, "Arr, we'll get that fixed." Like, it responds to you in your language at your level, and it can handle millions of people simultaneously. So right now, some of the really cool projects, some of the really cool capabilities of this tool. You know, you can obviously pay your bill. You can make a payment plan. You can talk to it about, like, I lost my job. I can't pay my bill. And then we'd be like, and it's sympathetic, and it will work with you in ways that we've not been able to do in the past. So this is exciting. It's rolling out. We're going to have the same human agents there. The humans will still be there, but now you'll also be able to maybe move faster by talking to the bot. I would give all of those a second chance. You know, a lot of the ones that were deployed 10 years ago are really bad. I mean, they're just bad. But today, whole new level. Super excited about this space. One thing is, like, we kind of all worry about, you know, whether AI is replacing people. You know, in a call center type situation, actually, we struggle to fill the positions. Like, we struggle to get enough people to do the positions. So I think it's actually just going to enable people to do more, do better. This one has music but no words. This is on early fault detection. This is our testing facility, which is here in Allentown. older. And the drones that did all the smart stuff, they actually shot this too. These are some of the engineers that are here now in town that really felt it. But here, what you're gonna see is fire that brings down power lines. You're able to see it before it actually happens. Even before it happens. Power line, that's anyway, exciting sound that you. And all these videos are online. So I want to talk about clean energy. How much time do I have left?
1:30 is official, but we need some time. with-
Oh, you guys, this is gonna be great because I'm gonna get to talk to you lots about clean energy. So this is my favorite thing. Smart integration of renewable energy. So I'm gonna set aside all this AI that we just talked about, and I'm gonna talk about renewable energy. Is that okay? Just for a minute. This is a chart that I like and that we've talked about previously, but so sulfur dioxide. This is nasty. Sulfur dioxide comes when you burn a fossil fuel, coal, oil in your car. One of the byproducts, sulfur dioxide. What does sulfur dioxide do?
Acid rain.
Causes acid rain. Yes. What else does it do? Not good for you. Yeah, not good for you to breathe this. So back in the 1960s, probably whoever had my job, their focus was like, okay, how do we get rid of sulfur dioxide? What's really neat is that our company in Kentucky and really here in Pennsylvania, we deployed a technology called desulfurization or wet limestone injection, also called scrubbers, that essentially eliminates the sulfur dioxide. It's pretty smart. Sulfur dioxide emissions reduction was done by taking gravel, limestone gravel, like you might see on a gravel road, crushing it into a powder, mixing that powder with water, and then spraying it into the emissions stack. What happens is that wet limestone, it basically congeals with sulfur dioxide. They form some sort of bond and they form calcium sulfate, which is also a synthetic gypsum. So the calcium sulfate is formed, and then so the hot air can continue on its path, but the sulfur dioxide falls down. And that's a byproduct that's used. It's used in roads, it's used in wallboard, probably in your homes. So I'm excited about this. We look back at like legacy. So 95% of sulfur dioxide emissions have been eliminated since 1995. So it's not getting dirtier. The air is not getting dirtier. It's actually getting a lot cleaner. This is a problem. Acid rain was a problem. The human health associated with sulfur dioxide was a problem. We recognized it. We as a country, and we fixed it. It's pretty cool. This took new tech that did not exist, that we stood up, we deployed, and we fixed the problem. So today we're not talking about sulfur dioxide anymore. Why? Because the problem's already fixed. What are we talking about? Carbon dioxide. Well, that's a different story. It is not fixed. But in terms of carbon dioxide from electricity generation, it's actually dramatically reduced. So when I became assistant director of energy for the Commonwealth of Kentucky, that was in the 2010 timeframe, you can kind of see that Pennsylvania and Kentucky, can you see Rhode Island? Such a clean little state. Doesn't have much CO2 emissions at all, but Kentucky and Pennsylvania were kind of just humming along. Nothing was really changing, nothing really happening, and kind of emitting the same amount of carbon dioxide every year. But there's been huge progress since 2010. So we have 40% reductions since 1995 in the states we serve. So in 2014, President Obama put together what's called a Clean Power Plan, which set a goal of reducing greenhouse gas emissions from electricity generation by 30% by 2030. Cool thing, we already hit it. We already exceeded the target. Is the Clean Power Plan law? Nope. It was vacated by the Trump administration in 2016, so it was canceled. It no longer exists. The cool thing, We did it anyways. We achieved the target anyways. Why? Why is carbon being reduced? What's causing carbon dioxide emissions to go down? Renewables. What else?
Efficiency.
Efficiency, yeah. So a lot of that is being driven down by just lower energy use, less wasted energy, more efficient lights. What else?
Electrification.
Electrification, that's a good one. Carbon capture, so I love carbon capture, but not really. You know, the three carbon capture systems at power plants today, they can't make a dent in this. So I manage one of the three. It cannot make a dent in this problem. It's an exciting technology. We're still working on it, but it's not enough at this scale. There's one you guys are missing.
Isn't it gas replacing coal?
Yes, whoever said that. That is a huge driver. Because coal, 2,000 pounds of carbon dioxide per kilowatt hour of energy. Gas today, 600, 700 pounds. So you're eliminating 65% of the greenhouse gas emissions just by moving from coal to gas. Dramatically cleaner. Also, you don't have the sulfur dioxide. Nitrous oxide is also reduced, so much cleaner. Yes, so we have more efficient systems, less waste. We have renewables, the part I'm really excited about, and also the move from coal to gas. So there's a lot going on. It's not as if it's getting worse. It is improving, but you can see there's still a gap. We've still got work to do. So we put out a paper a couple months ago called Rhythm of Renewables, and you can find it online somewhere, or oh no, here I have the link. If anybody wants it, you can just Google it and you'll find it. You see on the right hand side, those are some of the renewable projects that I'm going to talk about. This is really what motivates me. Like how do we get renewables faster? So this is one of our solar farms. And there's a lot of stuff going on in this picture, but you know, obviously the sun does not shine at night. See the moon kind of flying over. This is a time lapse, 24 hours, I think, in 30 seconds. Obviously, it's the sun coming up. Then you can see solar power starting to increase as the day goes by. Kind of a pretty day, but what do you see? You see clouds. So those clouds, when it's nice and clear, don't have a problem. But when it gets really cloudy, it causes a lot of intermittency. So the solar power rises, falls. Anybody notice anything else in this picture? Animals, yes. So this, again, I love my job, guys. We get to do so much fun stuff. And it's not just like AI and other stuff. We went out and bought sheep. So we bought 25 sheep. And I remember starting the project, I was like, how much are we paying for lawn? And I found out at this solar farm, we're paying $95,000 a year just for mowing. And then I saw the people working when they were doing the lawn mowing. They have to like weed eat underneath those panels because you can't drive a tractor through it. It's actually pretty labor intensive. And I was like, oh my gosh, there has to be a better way. So we went out and we bought sheep. And funny thing is, you know, I work in a big company, and a lot of you guys are going to work in big companies. And those of you who work at Lehigh, like you already work in a big organization, so you understand it. But doing something different, i.e. innovation, is sometimes hard in a big company because big companies are reluctant to change sometimes. But we spent I think it was about a year setting up the legal, the contracts. There was attorneys saying, what do we do about liability of sheep and the ethics of the sheep? And then there was insurance people saying like, well, how much should we insure each sheep for? All these paperwork questions. But at the end of the day, when we released the sheep, it was the most simple thing. I won't talk about this solar slide real quick, but I'm going to show you some of these projects. So there's 3 kinds of solar panels in this picture. So on the bottom left, you see single axis fixed tilt. So those are the same solar panels you just saw, except obviously I took this photo on a snowy day. And on that snowy day, they're not generating power because they're reflecting all of the light back. I don't know why it's advancing. It's trying to get me to move faster. The solar panels on the top, they're single axis trackers, meaning they can only move in one dimension. And then the bottom right, those are dual axis, so they can go in any direction to track the sun, and they can slant up and down. So what you notice in the top left there, you can see the effect of the fixed tilt versus the multi-axis trackers on the snow days. Do you guys see that little blip where it was kind of cold on the right-hand side and there was no solar power whatsoever because of the snow? But look at the multi-axis trackers, they did really well in the snow. Why? Well, for starters, the fixed tilt are on a 15-degree plane, whereas the multi-axis trackers can stand straight up. So they can drop the snow. Other thing is they're constantly turning themselves to try to get into the sun. One other minor detail that you may not have noticed, but they're also black. They're monosilicon, so it's a higher purity of solar panel than the blue ones, which are polysilicon. So now when you guys are driving by somebody's house and you see blue solar panels, you'll be like, that's polysilicon. Exactly. That black color actually has a significant effect in terms of helping it melt snow faster. And then here you can see on the left, you can see monocrystalline versus monocrystalline fixed versus monocrystalline rotating. What do you notice in that photo? Or in the charts? You're getting more solar power out of the monosilicon because when the sun's rising, so say your solar panel is going to be, which direction is the solar panel face by default, guys? South, because we're above the equator. So on average, it's going to get the most energy if it faces south. But the sunrise is in the, come on, I'm making this interactive. The sunrise is in the east. So your solar panel is facing south, sun's rising over here. So it's not optimal, right? So the dual axis panels, you see it's a little fatter during the day, the yellow, the part that's getting energy generation. So it has more hours of solar generation because it can turn itself into the sun. So really neat technology. Regardless though, so if you have good solar panels on the left or the best money can buy on the right, we're still a problem. Nighttime. One of the favorite phone calls I've had since I've been in this job was a reporter. She was calling me before a solar eclipse, a couple days before the solar eclipse. She said, "You guys have solar power, right?" I said, "Yes." And she said, "So during the eclipse, should everyone prepare for the grid to go down?" And I said, "Ma'am, we've been doing this for 120 years. And the sun has set actually every single day." People often don't know that, and people don't think about it. But this basic fact, the sun does not shine at night, it's a problem. It's a problem for solar. So here's the multi-axis trackers. You can just kind of see them running throughout the day, obviously in high speed, and our wind turbine in the back. I showed this the last time I was here 3 years ago, so these aren't new. But guys, these photos were made back in the day when you actually, if you wanted to do something, you had to build it and take a picture of it. You couldn't just imagine it. Now you can just imagine it in ChatGPT and you can get better photos than these. But these are real photos of the project, some I'm super proud of. So again, I told you, instead of just having grass that gets mowed like a golf course, we went back and we put in 64 native wildflowers and plant species. And throughout the year, the colors are constantly changing because there's 64 different wildflowers. And so in this one photo, it might all be yellow, but a week later, it might all be blue or green. Fun project. And yes, our little army of sheep lawnmowers been really, really fun. This lowered costs, it was cheaper, and it's more sustainable. So really proud of that project. So hydro. We have two big hydro dams. So this one is right outside of Louisville, the city I live in. This is called Ohio Falls. Anybody want to guess how old it is? Really good guess. It turns 100 this year. So yeah, so this one, you want to guess on this one, it turned 100 in November. So they're right at 100 years old. I've had reporters ask me, when did you guys start looking at renewable energy? It's like always, it's all, renewables have always been, part of the solution. So same charts that you just saw on solar, right? So purple means no power, red means 100% power. This is the pattern though that we see from those two hydro facilities. So remember guys, with solar, there's no power at night, no power on the rainy, cloudy day, and no power during the snow. Well, with hydro, it's all about water level. So this thing really wants me to move faster. That's Rudy. He's over there clicking and telling it to go faster. So with hydro, it's dependent upon really seasons. So you can see, winter, spring, these are times where we have a lot of water level, and so the hydro dams can operate at 100%. But then there's long periods through the summer, especially where on the left-hand side, that particular site has no power whatsoever for months and months. So wind, this is a project that we put online in 2024. So this particular site that you've seen a lot of photos of, this is what we call our Renewable Integration Research Facility. I am excited about it. We're trying all the different batteries, different kinds of solar and wind, and comparing and contrasting their performance. This is the wind turbine on the left-hand side. So that one wind turbine at 30 meters in height. What do you guys notice about the pattern? Yeah, less power. On the right-hand side, that's at a higher hub height. I think that was at 100 meters. Oh my goodness. It's a lot more intermittent. But what about nighttime? Still working. Yeah, we have some power at night. And then obviously a lot of power by day as well. So they're different. These are different patterns. So if we go all solar, for example, there's no power at night. If we go all hydro, there's periods of time where there's not enough water level. Wind, really interesting. I think the thing that surprised me the most, you recognize it like if you're sitting outside and you got a stack of papers, like you're recognizing that the wind comes in waves. Like just like at the beach, you see water coming to shore in waves. The wind comes in waves as well. And so for electricity generation, that means the electricity generation is coming in waves as well. Because you have that gust of wind that would just all of a sudden blow away those papers that were not blowing away a minute ago. Where you're sitting outside, you're having a little picnic and you got your napkin sitting there. And all of a sudden your napkin blows away. That's because the wind is coming in waves. And so that's causing waves of electricity generation. The exciting thing is that it has a different pattern though. If we combine these different patterns, we can get to a more reliable, more 24/7 project. So we have in Rhode Island, we have the United States' oldest offshore wind farm. Really exciting. I actually took the photos here, went out by boat to see it. And right now under construction, I went just a couple months ago, we have the Revolution Wind project, also in Rhode Island. There is currently an order from the US government to not work on the project because of it being a national security threat. But we're hopeful to continue that offshore wind project. In a state like Rhode Island, where they don't have a lot of land to put up solar panels, they do have a lot of water resources. So offshore wind is obviously really exciting in Rhode Island. Okay. Renewable comparison. So I just showed you a ton of energy sources separately, and now a chart that we put together just a couple months ago. Here's how they all overlay. So you notice with solar, right? These three very similar lines. So those are three different kinds of solar. Remember what I said about the trackers being a little earlier in the morning to get to the party early, and they can stay to the party a little late, whereas the fixed tilt is a little more centered because it can't turn. Wind. You can see we're getting wind power through the night. And then why does the wind ramp up on average in the morning? Anybody know that? I did not know that. I did not know that until I saw it. Why does it ramp up in the morning? Guess? Yeah, the sun. So what'd you say?
Sun heating the air.
Sun is heating air, which causes a change in pressure, which causes wind. Yes. So The sun rising causes wind, the sun setting causes wind. So I talked to you guys a little bit about our 100% renewable lights. So these are the ones they actually talk, they have Siri integration, Google integration, and Alexa integration. So you can say, hey Alexa, power the office with solar, and all the lights will turn red. But they not only turn red to tell you the source of the power, their intensity is changing every second. So this has those VPP applications we were talking about over lunch today. Blue, we made for hydro, and green for wind. So at night, you can see there's no red whatsoever, primarily blue from the hydro, and it's flickering. Why would you think it's flickering? Wind. I don't know who made these like auto advanced. So somebody on my team like trying to mess with me. But yeah, this is it's exciting because you know with lights it'd be kind of annoying, right? If the lights are constantly changing colors and changing intensity. But again, we were talking at lunch. Imagine water heaters. Why can't my water heater heat the water when the renewables are available? And that's our goal. Same with a variety of technologies. So kind of cool. Do you guys like this or not? Crazy science project? $0. We didn't spend any money on this. This is just like really like a passion of love. And you can see in our offices, did you guys notice whose picture is hanging on the wall in my office? A sheep. That's Granny. That is Granny. She is the matriarch of, there are hundreds and hundreds of sheep now. And she is like the grandmother of all of them. And she's alive and well. She's so personable. She's in charge of everyone at the site. She manages everyone. And she is such a prima donna as well. Like if you get a camera out, like she gets in front. Like she has to have her picture taken. So love Grant. So another way, what's capacity factor, guys? Another way to look at these resources is by capacity factor. What is a capacity factor?
Come on, guys, you should know this.
Sort of like how efficiently is it being used based on how much is generated? So like it's 100%
Those.
The percent of the nameplate capacity that turns into usable megawatt hours.
That's pretty good. That's pretty close to a precise definition. Yeah. So capacity factor is the percentage of the nameplate capacity, or percentage of the megawatts that you get. So what's the unit of measurement for power? Watts, kilowatts, megawatts. What's the unit of measurement for energy? Watt hour. Yeah. So another way to look at it is like if, oh my goodness, if this thing will not stop advancing, I mean, I wish it would stop that. That'd be something you hire an engineer to do, I guess. So another way to look at it is so if we have 100 megawatts, how many of those watts are going to be converted over watt hours? It depends on all those resources behind it. I'm going to proactively flip here so I can flick through. So that wind turbine you saw averaged out to an 11% capacity factor. The different solars kind of ranging between 17 all the way up to 20. The hydro looked like the run of river got us a 26% capacity factor. Our coal plants and our gas plants, 61% capacity factor. The average nationally in nuclear, 88% capacity factor. So the limiting factors for coal and gas, why is it only 61%?
inefficiencies in, for example, engines that use it.
Could be, but no. Curtailment, why would we curtail? We don't need it. So it's only being run at 61% of the time because that's how much we needed it. What about the others? Are they being curtailed? No, they're just not available. So I told you guys over lunch, I love renewable energy. This is my heart. This is my soul. I want to push renewable energy as hard as I can. And then there's challenges, right? There are big challenges that you can see right here. And then the timing and the frequency of those different patterns, like that's a big challenge. So we talked about the VPP, and again, you can download all of those data. Live stream as well. I could pull it up, but the address. But we live stream all of our renewable data every second, and that's what these smart devices are watching. Is so they're watching the live signal from those resources. So I already flipped the slide, too bad, but I was gonna ask, so what's another way, guys, to shift power in time? Nobody? All right. So underneath that wind turbine, we actually have Kentucky's largest lithium-ion battery that we operate, and it's running 24/7. It's been pretty cool, really neat experiment. This is lithium-ion, NMC chemistry. What does NMC stand for, guys? Anybody know batteries well enough?
Nickel, manganese, cobalt.
Yeah, some of you all are really smart. Is it the same smart person on the phone or is it
Yeah,
a
it's
different
the same
guy?
guy.
Okay. Awesome. Well, yeah, so nickel, manganese, cobalt. That was really the where the industry was in 2016, 2017 timeframe. Nickel, manganese, cobalt is lighter weight, lower density. So you might see it in like an electric sports car, like a Tesla, like one of the best Teslas in NMC chemistry because it's lightweight, very, very energy dense. As an industry, we're moving away from this though. We're moving towards a different chemistry. What is replacing NMC? So they're all lithium ion. LFP, yeah, lithium iron phosphate. So lithium iron phosphate is kind of the standard now. It's a little less energy dense, but one of the things I like about it is it has elements that are a little bit more common, and it's also a little less susceptible to thermal runaway or fire. So have you guys ever been ChatGPTing or whatever on your phone and you notice your phone gets hot to the touch? That's because when you're using a lot of power on your phone, it is really heating up that battery inside your phone. So this is a look at those same containers, those batteries. As we run them at full power, they actually get hot. If they get too hot, they can go into thermal runaway. There's not just, that's not the only potential cause of thermal runaway. There are others that I'll talk about in a subsequent slide. But this system, we're capturing sub-second level data at the cell level. So here it's only showing you my rack. Each one of those racks actually has sets of modules, and then within those modules there are cells. So in total there's 4,760 individual cells. They're a little bigger than an iPhone. But all of those cells are working together to dispatch that power. This is a technology that I think people are often really excited about it because it kind of seems like the answer to fix the renewable energy intermittency problem. And it can, but it's also very expensive and there's some safety consequences as well. So these NMC chemistry systems have been exploding all over the world. Even in 2025, there were several fires at Tesla Megapack sites, coast to coast. What was the largest battery in the world? I say was because it no longer exists. Moss Landing. Go look it up. I don't have any photos in here of it, but I did go and visit Moss Landing and kind of saw how it was operating. I spent a day there at that site, and it is now completely gone. The whole site went up in a thermal runaway explosion. Really, really big. So the world's largest lithium-ion battery, Moss Landing, no longer exists. There was a fire just in December. I think it was Friday, December the 19th in New York State at another system. It was a Powin battery was the manufacturer. The one in California was an LG Chem. But this is happening all over the world. It's a huge problem. And I don't think people respect batteries in the same way that they respect other energy sources. So now when you guys get on a plane, obviously they're asking you, do you have any batteries? And everyone lies and say, no, I don't have any batteries, but I actually do. They're like, hey, you don't have like a laptop or anything in your backpack, do you? They're checking that because the thermal runaway in a lithium-ion battery is a pretty big risk. But I don't think we respect batteries. And what I mean by that is, if we had a tank of gasoline in this room, like if we had a can of gasoline in this room, one, that would be really gross, right? We would smell it. I think we would all kind of instinctively be scared of it, right? Like imagine we had a tank of gasoline in this room. Wouldn't you all not be scared of it? If you had it at your house, like you wouldn't put it in the bedroom, right? You would put it in the furthest place you could in the house or outside of the house. Same with propane. Like if you have a propane tank or some other fossil tank, like you put it as far away as possible. I feel like we respect petroleum. And I feel like we respect maybe coal in that same way. And I don't think batteries are getting the same level of respect because people are putting them in their homes. So in Korea, when so the Korean government got really excited about their technology, and I say their technology because Korea, LG Chem, Samsung, really big pioneers in developing lithium ion technology. Well, they started putting it everywhere, all government buildings, schools, apartment buildings, before they stopped and backed that off. But it looks like a computer, right? A battery just looks like a computer. It looks like some nice modern plastic thing. It looks safe, and they may be safe, but you have to be very, very cautious. This is a quick chart of thermal runaways, explosions. This doesn't include some of the fires that occurred just in December of 2025, but there have been a lot. And the trend, in some ways you could say it's improving, but they continue. And even some of the newest and most advanced systems, like Moss Landing, I said, biggest battery in the world is completely gone. So I guess safety message for you, respect batteries. Yes, sir.
I'm curious about why 2020 is so much smaller than the surroundings. I mean, I'm tempted to say it's related to the pandemic in some way. Could it be? I don't know.
That's a great research question, and you're probably right. I don't know, but you are probably right. I hadn't ever wondered that. But the pandemic, is visible in a lot of data sets, so that doesn't surprise me. Also, academic publications went way down in 2020, and that's a big mystery because it's like, wait a minute, professors and students, you're all working from home. You now have more time. You have more time to dedicate to your research. But if you look at academic publications, they drop way down. Why? I don't know. What was everybody doing? So we put all of our thoughts together in a paper. Again, I'm just giving you access to all our research. Doesn't matter to me if you want it or not. But we tried to summarize kind of what causes these thermal runaway events to occur. I'll summarize it in 3 categories. It's first is physical abuse. So if you can think about your cell phone again, if you were to puncture that battery, let's say with a nail, like you were to take a nail and drive a nail into your cell phone. If it's charged, it should explode. Like you should have a fire that would come from that. Reason being is because there's different cells, and those cells are separated by usually some sort of membrane, often plastic. And if those are connected, they will short and explode. So again, physical abuse, often people don't necessarily understand it, but it's like, let's say you drop that battery and it's damaged somehow on the side, that's going to be very susceptible to a future thermal runaway event. The next is, I give up on the slide. It's worth the thank you slide, good, because it's just been trying to rush me the whole time. The next type of abuse is operational abuse. So operational abuse in a lithium ion battery is really, you guys remember, so I was showing you how the containers were heating up and getting hot. Operational abuse is pushing the battery harder than it can go. For example, taking it to 100% state of charge or beyond 100% state of charge if you can, overcharging the battery. If you took your cell phone, you charged it to 130%, it would explode. So people have done that with batteries. Over discharge, so taking it down to 0%. Don't do that. Do not take your battery down to 0%. Don't do that. Stay above 5, stay above 10. Never go below 5. So operational abuse would be over discharge, overcharge, or rapidly going back and forth between them. Can create a problem. The next one is the hardest to remember, but it's thermal abuse. So thermal abuse, classic way to cause a lithium ion battery to explode is expose it to direct heat. So if you were to take like an iron, an iron that you would iron clothes with and put it in direct contact with a lithium-ion battery, that would likely cause it to explode in the thermal runaway. On the flip side of thermal abuse, freezing conditions. So freezing conditions do not cause thermal runaway, but they can cause damage to those cell membranes. Those that can be physical damage that doesn't manifest in the cold, but manifests later during an operation. So people don't respect batteries, and you should. But anyways, if you're interested in that topic, happy to go into it a lot more. You guys have been mostly attentive. So I'd like to switch and kind of go into some discussion. I will say that AI is the big thing that's changing things for you guys. So I'm going to ask you guys a question to kind of get you talking before you maybe ask me some questions. But what excites you about AI?
The remote audience can participate too.
Okay, yeah, remote people. If they're real people, they may be AI. We don't.
No,
What excites you guys?
Safety,
Ah,
as you were explaining, that you now have drones that can, tell us before an event happens. So I think that's safe rather than having your team members in that space when the fire goes out.
isn't that exciting?
Yeah,
Yeah, let's get the bots and the drones. Let's get them doing the work that takes people away from something unsafe. So yeah, that's a really good point. Safety. Anything else?
I would say that AI is like more of a double-edged sword, so it's kind of hard to say a positive thing about it, but if used in the right way, like kind of as you said, like safety would be something good. I would also say productivity, efficiency, and just becoming more intellectual as a species. So yeah.
I was gonna say something, I think in line to what you say, in terms of creativity. Like you want to think of an idea, but you are not exactly sure how to put it. You can just give it a prompt, then it will give you this whole range of ideas. Now you are able to put these pieces together so that you come up with something that is solid. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I feel like it enables you to be like a superhuman, in a lot of ways. Like you can do more work than you could have ever done without it. You can do higher quality. So it does enable you to be a superhuman. I do worry though about this generation of graduates. I'll tell you, so I've lived in 2 cities in Kentucky, Lexington and Louisville. In Lexington, I didn't have a phone when I lived there. I didn't have maps. I know my way around every road. I know how to go anywhere to everywhere, and I never used GPS. Louisville, I've lived there for 10 years. Anywhere I go, I use GPS. Why? I don't know, because I've always had GPS while I lived in Louisville, and I've just become, my brain just works through GPS. So I don't know my own way to navigate often. And I can see it because I lived there in different decades. But I do worry that you'll lose some of the capability that you have as an individual, or what your potential is. You give some of that up because you let AI do the work for you. So it's kind of scary. You need to be in a position where you don't need AI and you're developing your own creativity, your own logic, your own learning. And then when you're ready, you use AI to make yourself super powerful and make yourself more able. I think the future depends upon it. You guys have questions for me? Anybody, whoever speaks up first.
So back to the AI discussion, something I think about a lot with how it's being applied in different industries is liability. So let's say there's some kind of problem with the AI and it results in someone getting injured or hurt, the safety is the priority, but it's not always perfect. So I feel like saying that it was like the AI's fault and, in that situation is a lot kind of less satisfying if you're the person or the family of the person affected by it. So it's kind of like, what's kind of the protocol in that situation?
I don't know. I really don't know. I do know that in my business of meeting people across country, there are actually AI ethics people. Like there are people that are specializing in ethics and fairness. Obviously AI is gonna make mistakes. I think self-driving car is probably the biggest example, but one of the other things is if you think about, I think Grok has been struggling with this, is that there's just so much, I'm gonna call it evil. There's so much evil in the world. There's hate in the world. There's biases and prejudices in the world. And when you send AI out and you're like, hey, go and study and recreate, it might come back with hate and come back with prejudices. Or a simple situation, like if you were to take a picture of every one of my engineers and then say, AI, go and draw a picture of an engineer, it might replicate, right? So engineering is a field that quite often has more males than females. An AI bot, unless controlled, might think, oh, males are engineers. It might make the same bias mistake that a kid can make. And so there's AI ethics, AI governance, AI accountability. It is a huge space. And I don't think that, I'm not qualified to answer the question, but it is definitely an area of concern. Oui, on va parler en français ou en anglais?
Let's stay in English, please.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you so much for your presentation. It was very interesting following you walk us through your renewable energy portfolio. But I have a question. I haven't seen some technologies that are quite cool that like have a potential for decarbonization, but are currently high cost. I'm thinking about maybe e-fuels or SMR. How does UEPL as a company, you say that you invest a lot in R&D and you have a net zero goal by 2050, full branding by the way. How do you balance the low cost, maybe immediate decarbonization solutions like solar and wind with the high cost, longer term solution that may be in e-fuels or SMR?
So while the slides here had solar and wind and batteries, what my team is actually doing, what I was on the phone this morning with, is nuclear. So nuclear is really where I'm spending a lot of time. I told you guys I worked for Governor Steve Beshear in Commonwealth of Kentucky. Well, Andy, his son, is the current governor, Andy Beshear. Governor Beshear appointed me to the Nuclear Authority in Kentucky, so I'm really hoping to lead Kentucky's push towards nuclear. We are very actively looking at SMRs, small modular reactors. There's several that I think are quite exciting. You guys you can go and study about X Energy. So X Energy is partnering with Amazon and Dow Chemical to build in Texas and in Washington. We are in Kentucky. We are in line for either 3 if we want a third plant. But yes, decide to do that. But that's an option down the road. Another really cool company that's partnering with Google is called Kairos. So Kairos has a different SMR design. And I got to go to Kairos's facility in Tennessee at Oak Ridge National Labs and see it under construction. Next week, I'll be with Kairos out at their Alameda facilities just outside San Francisco. We are spending a lot of time on nuclear. Because if you go back and you look at those charts of when the sun is shining and the wind is blowing, and then you look at when nuclear is available, nuclear is all the time. So nuclear, I think, has to be part of the discussion. It absolutely must be part of the discussion. I'm excited about it.
Can I ask a question?
You're facing in nuclear?
Ask your question. So then go ahead.
Yeah, what's the biggest challenge you're facing in?
So nuclear, there's two separate sets of designs, like, I mean, they're calling it Gen 3, Gen 3 plus, Gen 4, but if you just take like old and new nuclear, like old nuclear, the last was done at Southern companies, their AP1000, the Westinghouse AP1000, Vogtle Unit 3 and 4. Those two units together cost something like $30 billion to build, and multiple decades of permitting, construction engineering, huge. I just told you our company, our entire company in 4 states has $30 billion in assets. So you're talking about one plant costing an entire PPL, right? So big dollars. Ratepayers, like all of us, we're not looking to raise costs on ourselves, right? We're actually looking to keep costs low. In every state we serve, we're trying to bring costs down. That's the goal. Nuclear is expensive, particularly the older ones. One of the reasons they're so expensive is that they're big. The hope with Gen 4, the hope is that they can be small and modular so that they could be built in smaller locations, requiring less planning, less permitting, and less overall construction. However, SMRs have not yet been deployed in a utility context, at least not since the 1950s. But this is, I think it's obvious. Like a nuclear submarine, aircraft carrier, those are SMRs. Basically SMRs that are working all around the world safely. So we can do it. And not only can we do it, our grandparents knew how to do this technology, or my grandparents knew how to do this technology. So it's exciting, but there's some cost hurdles to overcome. And then I think there's also some maybe public perception. It's been interesting. I love solar, I love wind, but there's a lot of people that are opposed to it. There's counties that are passing ordinances banning it, even states that are trying to ban or restrain how solar and wind are done. So nuclear also has people that are for it and people that are against it. So it's going to be a process. I didn't answer your question, but
No, you did.
somebody said something on the phone.
There was a remote audience question.
Yeah, I had a question. I typed it into the chat actually. Previously you asked how it was that the carbon emissions were reduced, and I had answered by replacing coal with gas, and I wanted to know how that trend might continue into the future. Do you see replacing gas with some other renewable or nuclear, or is it possible to offset the emissions of gas with carbon capture? Is it feasible for that trend to continue in carbon emission reductions?
I think it will continue and it should continue. I will say that the current pressure that AI is creating on energy demand is probably going to slow the retirement of some of the older and dirtier power plants. They may stay on a little longer, but if you guys have ever owned an older car, I remember I bought a Honda Accord brand new in 2007, and I drove it until 2017, and it really just wouldn't go anymore. I could have probably put a lot of money and tried to keep my Honda Accord longer, and make it operate longer, but instead I got a new car. Power plants are very similar, actually. So coal plants on average retire after 55 years. That's a historical average. But if you look at the oldest operational coal-fired power plant in the United States, it's not 70. There are not 80-year-old coal units. They're not. Those coal units have a fixed life, and you can put more money into more money and try to keep them running longer, just like my Honda Accord. But it's going to make economic sense to close them and build something new. And so as that continues to happen, those old cars on the road get replaced with new cars. Those old power plants get replaced with new power plants. Emissions will continue to decrease. Moving towards gas is going to drive emissions down. Renewables, I think we need to build all the renewables we possibly can, wherever it makes sense, wherever it's economic, and wherever people want them. But gas is really the one technology we have that we can deploy today at any scale that's flexible and dispatchable. carbon capture, so we have a strong carbon capture program that I've been leading for a long time, but you know, it even predates me. We have one of the best carbon capture programs in the country. And our current system is 0.7 megawatts. So again, we run one of the best carbon capture programs in the country, and it's 0.7 megawatts. In Kentucky, we have 8 gigawatts of generating capacity. Our plan was to scale that up to 20 megawatts. 20 megawatts is still a drop in the bucket. Our system sounds small. The National Carbon Capture Center is 0.5 megawatts. So that technology, it works. So anyone who tells you that carbon capture doesn't work is mistaken. It does work. It's been proven many, many times. Can't scale without a lot of money. So a power plant, let's say a gas power plant, let's say it costs $1 billion to build. Now it's probably $2 billion because a lot of demand for it. $2 billion. To add carbon capture, we need another $1 billion. So it's not like it's 5% more. No, it's 100% more. It is an expensive, a very expensive technology. But it works. And it can be scaled. I think the good thing about it in the carbon capture is like if we're talking about that technology, which is so expensive, it kind of opens the door to renewables, nuclear, all of the above. You know, these are all my opinions personally, and I'm not really speaking, you know, from any kind of script here, but, you know, PPL, we're all of the above. So we're all of the above energy strategy. So we want to consider every single technology for its ability to provide safe, reliable, sustainable energy. So regardless of where the energy is from, we're looking at how it performs. You guys have tons of questions out of the first.
Alright, my question is, we are talking about how your systems, they carbon capture the things that it works. Let's speak in terms of efficiency, like how efficient is the carbon capture system? What are the energy penalties that you are carrying? Like sometimes you're talking about 90% carbon capture efficiency, then you are losing like 10% or 15%. Let's go.
Awesome question, and it varies by energy source. So for a coal plant, you're looking at around 15 to 20% parasitic load. Meaning, if just in round numbers, let's say it's a 100 megawatt coal unit, to run the carbon capture system, we need 15 megawatts of power just to run the carbon capture. Efficiency in terms of like what it's capable of, 90 to 95% is typically a goal. However, we've done net negative. So let me repeat, we have done net negative CO2 emissions. What does that mean? 101% emissions reduction. How? Technology called direct air capture combined with flue gas carbon capture. So it actually pulls not only the CO2 out of the flue gas, but it pulls it out of the air as well. So we can do it. The problem is the costs accelerate exponentially. Like as you move from 90% capture to 91, it gets more and more expensive. You can go net negative. You could have a power plant that reduces CO2. Costs are astronomical. So in terms of dollars per ton, that's what we kind of like to think about in terms of costs. Like I think carbon is trading around $20 or $25 a ton right now. Direct air capture, our system is about $25,000 per ton to remove it out of the air. It can be done. It's just very expensive. But maybe one of you smart people, I think I've gone over on my time, but maybe one of you smart people will invent, yeah, it is 1:30 exactly. One of you guys might be inventing the new technology that kind of is the breakthrough and makes it all work. I hope you do. Thanks for letting me crash your class today. Appreciate it.
Well, thanks a lot.
My pleasure.
Thanks for coming down. This is really normally do this remotely.
Oh, yeah.
And then sprung to your offer. You come down
In person's better.
Next week, we'll have a speaker from Oak Ridge National Lab.
Awesome.
We have all the cool things they do out there. So So stay tuned, guys, so next week is January 26th, same time. That person will be remote.
Thank you.
All right.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
No, I'm good. All right. Perfect.
Ciao, I know. Thank you.
Thanks for. In my earliest solicitor. Oh, my God. I don't even have the answers though, I just have one question.
That's good, that's a good start, right?
Yeah. Why don't we hear this beautiful demo song?
You know, it is.
You got some good thoughts.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I'm good. I heard about it. Happy to.